do we need to talk any more about this thing that's going on in Israel, where it's going to go? I, I feel like we should. Um, I feel like we should. Just to kind of recap here, and I know we've done this before in other videos, but it's really important to understand this. We've been watching this thing pretty close. We've been watching news releases. The point was said that if Iran jumps into this battle, then the United States is going to jump in. Iran is already in this battle. They're in the north, they're with Hezbollah. They're also supply Hamas with weapons as well. So Israel is in full knowledge of Iran being in this. And there's all kinds of talk that they need to go into Iran. They've got congressmen and senators in the United States that says, for every American that's been killed, we need to bomb one factory, one oil factory in Iran. Well, there's been, I forget, is it 25 American citizens that have been killed in Israel? And possibly even more than that. There could possibly be American soldiers that have been killed so far in this conflict in Israel and in Gaza. Yeah, and they're keeping that quiet because everything's going to hit the fan if people actually knew that. But the idea is, in the prophecies, it says that all five horns, which would have to be the United States, Great Britain, France, China, and Russia, are all going to unite and defeat Islam. What Islam are they going to defeat? They're going to defeat radicalized Islam. Now, this is going to be a surprise to some people, not anyone here, I don't think, watching this, but to some people. Islam has a mandate to take over the world and have Sharia law all over the place. However, they have not made a declaration that they're going to do that as a unit, all of Islam. However, the day is coming when they will. And that day will provide evidence for China and Russia that they're going to have to unite with the West and defeat Islam, because Islam is going to become a problem. And if anyone hasn't noticed the infiltration of the whole world by Islamic people, then they really need to give their head a shake, because if you can get the Trojan horse in every city of the world, wow, what's that going to do? So they have been doing this through the southern border of the United States. It's a proven fact. And I know this from the city that I go to, I frequent most often. I have seen an influx of immigrants. Now, I will say that I know they're not all bad, but anyone that adheres to the Islamic religion, they all believe, if they're actually committed Islamists, Islamic people, their plan is to convert the world to Islam. That is what their plan is. They have different ideas on how that's going to happen, but ultimately it's going to be something that they are going to make their move. And I tell people, watch Saudi Arabia. They are the wild card in all of this. And just so I can look at this, if you want to turn yourselves to Daniel. And I know we've looked at these verses before, but for those that are new to our website and these presentations, Daniel chapter 8 talks about a ram and a he-goat. And the ram is said to be the kings of Media and Persia, which perfectly overlays the Islamic nations in the Middle East, right from Libya to Afghanistan, Turkey, all around northern Iraq and Iran, and those Uzbekistan, Kazakhstans, all those stands, those are primarily Islamic countries. That's exactly where the kings of Media and Persia at the height of their empire encompassed. And so this is what it's talking about there. It also says that the goat kingdom that fights this empire is called Greece. He's the first king. But that's actually a bad translation. It should be Javan, and Javan is the father, if you will, the grandson of Noah, or grandson of Japheth. Javan was Japheth's grandson or son, and Japheth was Noah's son. So Javan is Noah's grandson. And he went west. And so all the people, the descendants of Javan, are people of the west. Daniel would have known that. The United States didn't exist, obviously. Europe didn't exist, obviously. Those nations didn't exist. But Javan's descendants, it says in the book of Daniel, chapter 8, in the time of the end, Javan is going to go against the people of the kings of Media and Persia. It says this goat comes from across the surface of the whole earth. That's what it says in verse 5 of chapter 8 of Daniel. And I was considering, suddenly a male goat came from the west across the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between its eyes, or a first king, a dominant king, a notable king between its eyes. That would be the United States leading the charge, coming across the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground. In verse 17 and verse 19 of that same chapter makes it very clear. It says in verse 17, so he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell on my face. But he said to me, understand, son of man, the vision refers to the time of the end. And because Daniel didn't really understand what he was hearing, in verse 19, Gabriel says again, and he said, look, that's kind of like what Yeshua said, verily, verily. This is the same kind of terminology. Look, I'm making known to you what shall happen in the latter time of the indignation, for at the appointed time the end shall be. So I'm going to deduce by this that at the appointed time, at the time of the end, at the moed of the end, that's what it says, this ram is going to come, and we've been looking at, this is the time of judgment, which is the moed of the time of the end. It all comes together here. And this king, my point being, is what's going on in the Middle East cannot be this battle that Yeshua referred to in Daniel, or in Matthew chapter 24, is the battle, the war that begins the time of the end. It cannot be this war now, because Islam is not all in unity as in what is going on. And also, Russia and China are not with the United States right now in this. They're against them, actually, working with Iran and these other countries. But there are things that are showing us we are moving towards that war.